Hello my friends, and welcome to my July-August Is Your Ex Coming Back. Just before I start, I want to let you know there is like still a speed up special. So if you order something, it's not going to last 3 weeks as a regular reading. You're going to get it within a week. Also, if you order rush, you're going to get it within 3 days, not a week, and urgent readings 24 hours. So some of you are really familiar with this reading. These cards here are taken from a different deck, and they're called significators. Significator means, hey, I really want to describe something that is happening over here, but this is not a card that I read. So yes, this front row is going to be identical in all the readings because of that. If you did see this explanation, just jump to the reading. But if you haven't, please listen to it because it's actually really important and it's a part of the reading. So this very first card, the Magician, I picked because it's a number 1. I really want to see how to move forward. In this category, as above, so below, what can be the best that can come out of this relationship? What are the tools that they're given? You know, not everybody is given like sort of like, you know, full house. Some of us really have to deal with what basically we are kind of like handed. So this is going to tell me if this is even a starter, this relationship. Temperance here is purposely reversed because in the upright position, Temperance talks, hey, can I mix these two opposites? So let's say one is really good, one is really bad. Is there a point of making this in the middle if it's not? Generally, really, I want to see which things are pulling this relationship apart. What cannot be glued? What has to be glued in order to move forward? Then Queen of Wands is going to be one significator. It could be you. It doesn't matter if it's a male or female, even though I'm using wands all the time. And not everybody is a fire sign, which usually wands are used for. And the reason why I'm doing this is like when we date, we kind of are very action oriented. We kind of like do for a moment, step in this fire and acting like that. And then we sort of like settle in our own sign. This is going to give me communication between the two of you. What's going on? How is it projected? What could or won't happen? And now the two really important cards would be Judgment, which is one of my chosen karma cards. And I want to see in this category, was this a karmic mate? Was this a karmic soulmate? Because then I would advise you, look, get a karmic reading too, because this is actually part of you and your path. You wanted this person to come here. Usually karmic soulmate or twin flame is like, ouch, relationship, right? And here we're going to see where is this going. Is this going a step further or is it not going a step further? So hopefully this was like not too much of introduction, and let's start. Hi Geminis, and welcome to your Is Your Ex Coming Back for July and August. Just a forward that, you know, this, if message doesn't hit you, check your ascendant and check your moon sign. If you're cross watching, check those as well, but also add their Mars sign because it sort of like gives their inclinations. So let's start. And of course, yeah, get a private reading. That's usually the best. So let me see what we have here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm seeing something dissolving, and it looks like to me that you are the ones who did that. You are the ones who are saying, you know, is there really us? Kind of like, oh, was there some kind of like third-party involvement? This is definitely to me telling me about somebody messing, somebody cheating. This is a sense of rejection. I absolutely see this breakup, but I'm also seeing that you are the one who is feeling really strong in this situation. I'm also seeing that you are saying, look, I am taking these reins of me, who I am. Again, you are represented in tarot with a card number 6. This is number 7. That's what happens next, right? And what happens next after making this choice is, look, I'm strong enough. I know that there are like different kind of choices. Some can be really good, some can be really bad, some can be black and white choices. But I really need to know where I want to go. So it's almost like your crown chakra, see here, is getting activated. You guys are kind of like starting to stabilize. Like Queen of Wands came on Queen of Wands. And if you don't know what this means, check the introduction, because these cards are not being read, just introduction. Here it's telling me it's kind of like the end of this relationship. Something shoe was not fitting anymore, and whether or not you wanted it, it kind of like looks like you wanted it. You wanted to make it work, but you kind of like have to free yourself from your air sign after all. And you kind of like do have that happy-go-lucky, a very fluffy kind of like approach to life. Sometimes you're not being taken seriously at all, and you're taking this rein in your hands and you're saying, well, sorry, I kind of like have to put myself first here. This is not to put anybody down. It's simply who I have to become. I have to kind of like get to know myself, and I have to nourish myself. And because of you doing that, somebody is feeling actually devastated here. Somebody's feeling, oh my gosh, you know, you are not, you know, giving your kind of like, you're not holding your side of the bargain. You're not holding you gave me the word or something. And there is like still a love offer that looks like from their end, something going on. But my question is like, why are they feeling this way? Because you're trying to empower yourself. It's like, you know, the lobster syndrome. You put, you know, one lobster in the bucket, he's going to just like crawl out. You put 2 of them, the other one is always going to try to grab you down. So it's just kind of like almost like humans. Whenever somebody wants to come out, there are millions of people who are, you know, creating some kind of like negative comments. I can even start telling you, I'm doing this, giving so much of my free time, and yet, you know, like, I mean, people live there who's basically just like their negativity is like so kind of like tight. They kind of like need to kind of like do that. And you're saying in this situation, actually, you don't want to be like that. You're saying, I kind of like need to shed myself of some kind of like energy over here. It could be also some kind of like financial letdown, but it looks like that somebody's feeling a financial loss. Again, this kind of like is a two-way street. So, you know, if it's not you, it's them, and vice versa. Kind of like it can be seen from both sides, because after all, only in private reading I can kind of like see it clearly, not on a reading like for thousands. So let's see where this takes us. I don't know if somebody else was included in the situation. Was there a woman? Look at it here. Like, I haven't. Well, there he is. Huh. Interestingly enough, a child psychology, if you ask me, in this situation, you're telling them, "Hey, I'm the queen," and oh, you're not. Blah, blah. Then they kind of like start immediately kind of pulling back in a different situation. It's kind of like really weird what's happening. I don't know about this Queen of Cups. Is that you, or it's simply aspect of you that has been very emotional is now shifting into something that is very practical? You're kind of like trying to kind of like figure out who you are and what you want in life, and you are moving, your steps are moving forward and toward that. You're simply probably trying to get out of that emotions. That's what people misunderstand, Gemini. Just because they're fluffy doesn't mean they're not big thinkers. Sometimes, yes, you guys get all kind of like entangled, even kind of like always kind of like seeing the two sides of the story. It's kind of hard to find a solution. But this time it looks like you're kind of like razor focused on where you're going. So this is telling me, because we are entering with this kind of level in Mercury retrograde, and you guys are ruled by Mercury. So something from the past that hasn't worked out, and something from the past that has been relegated to the back burner, it's going to start needing to come to the surface to be addressed, right? It looks like this cup of love will be pouring again, and it might be somebody from your past who at this stage is ready to stay. Especially if you have a Leo or fire sign or Gemini, that can be even more valid. For the water signs, not so much. Water signs still kind of like need some kind of like stabilization in the situation, but there is like this potential over here. If nothing else, you are not feeling burdened anymore. You are starting to feel refreshed. You're starting to feel renewed. You know, like sometimes we have a relationship, and you know, people, I don't know, what was the Sex and the City? They said it takes exactly half of the time you spend to get over that relationship. Well, that never worked for me. For me, it was always that always took a longer and longer and longer, and didn't really relate to the length of the relationship. It related to kind of what I needed to do. So finally, hello, it hit me. It is about me. It's not about them. It's like about my own safety in how I can handle relationship and bad relationships and bad people, because not everybody is kind of like thinking like you are thinking, and we hope for the best. This is kind of a lovely part that we humans have, but you also need to plan for the worst. And it looks like you're doing that. You're kind of like realizing that you need to drop some issues yourself. Like there was like kind of like some situation that included unknown, secret, and difficult issues. And you're saying, maybe for the time, I kind of like don't care. I don't even want to argue anymore. I just like really want to see, like, I mean, the bright side of life. You know, always look at the bright side of life. And looks like they're coming here, and all of a sudden they're like coming and saying, yeah, I want to be here. Let's work on our problems. And somebody's actually almost like letting down the controlling, and they were controlling you through possibly money, possibly through children here as well, because this kind of card is very tricky. It can talk about travel. So somebody might be arriving to where you are, or you might travel there, because it goes both ways on general reading. You see this like there are really murky, kind of like really turbulent waters over here on this side. But here we are going into clarity. Now, even though we are going to the clarity, the swords are still ahead of us. We still have the issues. We are carrying them with us, thinking, hey, wait a minute, maybe the environment was the problem. Maybe I just simply need to change the environment. When this card reverses, we're actually going back. We are going back to the same issue, and since this is Mercury retrograde and this is 6, it's kind of like a very typical where we kind of like bring these things from the past and say, okay, let's deal with that. And starting in your relationship in Mercury retrograde, it's okay if this is with an old partner, but only if you actually work on these issues. And it was a power struggle here. It looks like it was straying out of relationship. It was somebody whom possibly played on your emotions, and you actually are going through these motions and fixing yourself and saying to yourself, look, you know what, I have me. I have to work with me in this life. And you see this like black kitty here? That black kitty here is for a reason. Yeah, they wanted kind of like matrix kind of like drawn into this card, I know, but look at this, kitty is actually talking, and it's talking in a cat language. So basically it's talking, look, you don't need to say everything. We kind of like have this tendency that if we meet our soulmate, we just have to like open our heart and everything. The people who tend to be manipulative use it under guise of moonlight and wine and romance and hardcore press, until you kind of like blur out a whole bunch of things, and then they know your weak points, and then they actually push these buttons, and I think this has been happening to you, and you're really questioning this person and their intentions as a result of that. But also, if we become jaded, and if this list of, oh, I'm not going to have a guy or woman who is going to do that and that, and this list all of a sudden becomes a scroll, and it's never ending scroll, so no person can possibly get there. So that's not a solution, obviously. Solution here is to trust ourselves. Solution is actually, you seem like you have been dragged to this kind of like emotional hot coals, and it kind of like was really kind of like difficult for you, because it was like uncharted territory. Like, you are a brainy sign, you can debate, and it was like not much of debate over there. It was like somebody kind of like almost controlling, and then they didn't realize that you're air sign, that you can also one day say, it's enough, I love you, but I don't want to be with you. And that kind of like usually comes from the mouth of an air sign, and something like that, or at the very least, look, I kind of like have to figure things out for myself, happened over here. So let's see what's going to be happening in August over here in this particular situation. If this is going to improve, or they are just kind of manipulating and kind of like putting their foot in the door. Yeah, guy. You're having these 2 8s over here. You guys are kind of like really getting certain things right. She's blindfolded. She kind of like looks at her situation and thinks what you think you would think in the situation. Oh my gosh, it's cold and it's dark, and who are these people? Who are my assailants? Am I safe? If I even try to wiggle, are they going to kill me? So the archetype really talks about a person who is trapped in their own thoughts, in their own world, not even trying to really see if that's even normal to think that way, if this is really true. Like, I mean, that kind of like would be those clans and sects that kind of like try to get you into ritualistic behaviors and be this way. But you're getting this card this way, which is good. You're kind of like realizing that you're actually taking the blindfold down. You're waking up from some kind of dream. You're realizing that you're actually almost getting angry with yourself, that you have been caught in like this kind of like way of thinking over and over again into something that looks like unsolvable. And the solution was to walk away, to kind of like small steps forward, baby steps ahead, literally. Page of Pentacles literally can be your child and dealing things with your children, but it could mean sort of like, you start the journey of 2,000 miles with a first step. And that's exactly what could happen over here in the situation, that you're saying, look, I need to bet on me. I need to kind of like trust me, because looks like there were like some heavy duty emotions over here that I see, and they were like really difficult. You really felt saddled. You felt, I can't take it. It's not me, not my life. And it's kind of like not workable. So there is like still a cycle. You still looks like you're going to start moving forward. You're going to be a few steps back, especially because, as I thought, this person who kind of keeps changing like this is not highly trustworthy, and they will kind of like again try to manipulate, and that kind of romance and the promises and big promises, because they saw actually, that's what they say, what you had after you lose it. And it's kind of weird how you see these couples and argue and chewing like their faces off, and then they're not together, and right, like it's kind of like we need to stop and think about what this partner brings to us, if anything at all. Sometimes we think much higher of them because we still go back to that initial honeymoon stage where each one of us is behaving differently and completely awkward, and we want to impress and we are putting the best foot forward. It's not who we are. It's like on 100% where we most of the time on 50%. And they're again trying to kind of like give you this moonlight and a glass of wine and all of the stuff in order to start controlling you. And you see here, this King of Pentacles is somebody who see, I almost like see that somebody might be even proposing here just for the fear of losing you, and promising the world and the stability. And yet in a very, like, next month in August, you're going to already see that they're already breaking their own promise. Well, what you guys do with that? Do you all continue? Do you really want to believe you're going to be in this situation? You're going to again be provoked emotionally and go through turmoil, because you know, this person is not going to make a good husband. This person is not going to be a good provider. This person will be somebody who strays away. It looks like you may have been dealing, either that your partner was straying away, or that you have been dealing with somebody who was promising a world, and I'm going to leave her, etc. And they're not going to. They actually, for a moment, kind of like they had this intention, oh, it sounds like a great idea, I'm sure, but immediately kind of like went into it, yeah, you know, I just kind of want it this way. So, you know, it's for you to actually start moving slower so you can really see what's happening back to you. But if you get caught in their net, again, you're going to get caught in, again, trying to solve the problem through them, through their actions, through their words. You can solve the problem just by taking the blindfold. And that's the moral of that story for this time being, my dear Gemini. So guys, you can get reading from me. It's different when it's personal reading, and I do it actually a little bit differently as well. And you can check it out on my website, cattarot.ca. And in the meantime, you can check me on Facebook and Instagram. I kind of like post dailies, so you can kind of like see the daily vibrations. And if you're still here, you see this button here, just press on this subscribe button, and that way you're going to be notified more lives. And when you're on the live reading, your energy is affecting, and it's yay, it's awesome. So Gemini, you're the last sign this month, but the next month you're penultimate, and until you get first again. So it is time to kind of like go and recover your energy. It is time to call who you are, what you can do to kind of get busy with you, with your life, with your children, and not to let somebody take the wind away from you. You are valuable, and you need to value yourself. So my dear Gemini, I love you, and until the next time, have a wonderful month.